Hi and welcome everyone. I am Friar and this is my epoch. Thank you for watching. So one of the subscribers had asked me. Actually, I've been asked for a few videos, but one of the videos that I was asked to was to talk about close calls. I haven't necessarily had any real close calls that I can remember off the top of my head. I mean, I've been thinking about it for a couple of days, but one that might fit that criteria is when I was doing, it was probably like my second or third time being homeless. I was in San Antonio. You guys always hear me talk about how there's like, 40 beds and 400 people trying to get into them. That was San Antonio, and that kind of stuck in my head a lot, and has dictated a lot of stuff that I've done in the future and kind of my attitude towards certain organizations. One of the things that ended up happening was because I couldn't get into a shelter. I went down. I had a dollar or two, because back then you could buy a tall boy for like $1, and especially down in Texas, man. So I went and spent my last $2 or last buck and bought me a beer, and kind of got myself a little tipsy, because the only place to sleep was either next to the railroad tracks in some abandoned depots, or you could go and sleep under the bridge. But they had these large rocks. They're about that big around or so, and they just you're gonna have to be on something in order to sleep on that. It doesn't matter what you have underneath you. And it was pretty much the only dry place to sleep, because I wasn't sure what the weather was going to be that night. And there was a family there, and I'm like, okay, I'd like to camp next to a family for my own safety. And so they gave me the okay and everything else like that. And so I laid down my blanket and I started to lay my head down to go to sleep. And here pulls up this van, and it happens to be a Christian group. And they're like, hey, we're offering you a place to stay, get up on your feet, do this, do that, we'll take care of you, we'll help you out. Would you like some help? Would you like a bed and a meal and a shower and all that? And back then you didn't have access to stuff like that, so that was gold. I mean, that was, you pull up to a homeless person 20 years ago and say, hey, would you like a shower? Man, they'll do backflips for you. They'll perform any parlor trick you want for a shower. At least that's the way it was back when I first started being homeless, okay? And so they pick me up and they take me in, and I'm like, okay, not a problem. And I told them, I'm like, look, I'm under the influence. I was expecting to sleep here, and da da da. And they're like, yeah, not a problem. And so they put me in their van, and I think I was one of maybe 2 people that got picked up that night. And so they take you in there and they strip you down and they have you get into PJs, and they take your clothes away, and all kinds of stuff like that. And then they start searching through your gear, and they found the Book of Mormon. Because they're fanatical Christians, they decided, well, I'm just going to take the Book of Mormon, I'm going to throw it away without my permission, without anything else like that. And I was like, okay, you know what, I'm only here for a night, I'm already under the influence, I just want to get some sleep, get up, get a shower in the morning, or get a shower after that. I don't remember when I got my shower. Have breakfast and be gone. And they, so I go in, I go to sleep, and I wake up the next morning, and we go into this chapel, and in there everybody's down on kind of like on their knees and stuff, like how you see the Muslims pray, and they're all talking in tongues. And I'm just like, me being me, and Mormons, we don't believe in the whole talking in tongues thing. It was a specific time instance. It was a need and a necessity at that point in time. It wasn't something that people can just do randomly just because they choose to. And so this kid next to me is like, man, you better start talking in tongues. I'm like, I'm not going to do that, that's not right. And he's like, yeah, well, you know what, they would beat me until I finally started talking in tongues, and now I can talk in tongues. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm probably not going to stay here very long anyways. I'm just waiting for breakfast, because I know it's in a few minutes, and so whatever. And so I do my thing, and I keep quiet, keep to myself, while this whole group is doing their holy rolling crap. And then we get ready to get up and go to the mess hall and grab something to eat, which was outside. You were fed outside. You had to stand and eat outside. There was no benches, no tables, no nothing. It was, stand and eat. And it was like, okay, whatever. I don't care. But then, because they had a line just for men and then a line just for the girls. And it's like, okay, I was looking over at the girls, just kind of seeing if there was any pretty ones over there or anything else like that. The kid that was next to me, he also happened to be behind me in line. He taps me on the shoulder. He says, don't look at the girls, look down. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, no, you're not allowed to look at the girls. If you're allowed to look at or if you do look at the girls, they will, take you in the back and they will punish you. And I'm like, okay, that's messed up. This is, I'm just thinking this is just really, really, really messed up. And then, I eat my breakfast, which was a really good breakfast. It was sausage and eggs, and I still remember the breakfast. It was really good. And after I got done, I grabbed my bag because I'm like, you guys told me I didn't have to stay. You guys told me I wasn't a prisoner here, so I'm ready to go. I don't want to be here a moment longer. And so I got my stuff and I started walking out, and because there's this big old field right next to it. I'm probably halfway through this field, and this lady comes screaming, "Wait for me! Wait for me!" So apparently she and her boyfriend had witnessed a murder in Houston, and so they came to San Antonio, running from the gangs because she didn't want to have something happen to her. I think something happened to her boyfriend, which is why she was alone at that point in time. But they were both heroin addicts in a back alley, and they just saw something that they weren't supposed to. And because they were considered witnesses, they wanted to make sure to end to wipe out all the witnesses. And so, she explained to me her story, and I take her downtown and I show her how to panhandle for food. And so, we had a couple of hot dogs at the hot dog cart, and then I made sure that she got on a Greyhound bus because she called her mom and said, "Mom, I need to come home. This is what's going on." And her mom, because that's what she asked me for, was to get her to a Greyhound bus station, make sure she gets on the bus, which is what I did. And that's essentially what ended it there. So, I mean, that's probably the closest thing to a close call that I have had, other than when I first got here to the Cincinnati area. I was over in Kentucky, and I was walking across a crosswalk, and the crosswalk sign was on. It was a walk sign, and one of the people turning actually was trying to gun for me. Like, he literally punched the gas, and I had to run to get out of the way because he was trying to swerve to hit me. And that happened recently here, probably within the last few weeks. Other than that, those are the only close calls that I've ever had out here. Now, I'm sure maybe some of you guys have had some close calls. I would love to hear, what your guys' close calls are. But anyways, you guys know how to help the channel. Leave a tip in the tip jar, or become a subscriber, or come on over to Patreon. There's so many ways you can help the channel. If you're already subscribed, everything else is in the description. If you're not subscribed, I'd like to invite you to subscribe and turn on that bell notification so that every day at 11:30 a.m. when I release a video, you are first in line to see it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.